All right, let's look at this question. It says the solubility of copper sulphate at 80 degrees Celsius is 55 gram per 100 gram water, right? And at 20 degrees Celsius, it is 20 gram per 100 gram water. How many grams of copper sulphate, CuSO4, crystals are obtained when a saturated solution containing 200 grams of water is cooled from 80 degrees Celsius to 20 degrees Celsius? Now, this one is a two-part question. Number 18 is here, and then there's another part to it too. All right? Now, it is that other part to it that will enable us to find the answer to this word question. But before we go to the final answer, we need to solve that first part that has to do with the last question we looked at, which was number 18. Now, look at it, which is in this part. They said, is cooled from 80 degrees Celsius to what, 20 degrees Celsius, right? But now they are saying 200 what, gram. First of all, let's look for what? The mass of CuSO4 that will be obtained in what? 100 gram when cooled from 80 degrees Celsius to what? 20 degrees Celsius. All right? The mass of what? Copper sulphate that will be obtained when cooled from 80 degrees Celsius to what? 20 degrees Celsius in 100 gram of what? Water. Right? So, how do we do that? We said that the mass obtained is equal to what? The mass at what? 80 degrees Celsius. Mass at 80 degrees Celsius minus mass at what? 20 degrees Celsius. Because they said when the water is cooled from what? 80 degrees Celsius to what? 20 degrees Celsius. So minus mass at 20 degrees Celsius. Now, take note that this is for when you are considering in what? 100 gram of water. Okay? 55 gram per 100 gram water at what? 80 degrees Celsius. Okay? 20 gram per 100 gram water at what? 20 degrees Celsius. Okay? So, this is when we are looking at it at what? 100 what? Gram of water. But the question says, how many grams of CuSO4 crystals are obtained when a saturated solution containing 200 grams of water? Okay, that one is 200 grams of water. Well, first of all, we need to do the normal standard 100 grams of water. So the mass obtained is what? Mass at 80 degrees Celsius, 55 grams, minus mass at 20 degrees Celsius, 20 grams. Now, this will give us what? 35 grams. Now, this is the mass at what? 100 grams. This is the one that we separate out as what? 100 grams. Isn't it so? Now, they said, what will be the mass that we what? Separate out at 200 what? Grams. Now, 100 grams. 200 grams is times 2 of 100 grams. Isn't it so? What do we need to do this? Then we will say 35 grams times 2. Okay? And so, mass obtained at 200 grams is equal to what? 35 grams times what? 2, which is equal to what? 70 grams. This is our what? Answer. Exactly. Remember, mass can neither be created what? Nor destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to what? Another. Exactly. So if we have 35 grams for 100 grams of water separating out, then in 200 grams of water, we will have what? Times 2 of that one that will separate out in what? 100 grams. If they say, look for the one that will separate out in 400 grams, now we know that 35 grams will separate out in 100 grams. So the one that will separate out in what? 400 grams will now be what? Times 4 of this what? 35 grams, which is what? 140 grams. Remember, according to the law of conservation of matter or law of conservation of mass, Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but can be transformed from one form to what? Another. So having said that, let's move on to number 20.